Okie dokie, hello. It's John in sort of Sifu realm now at the minute. I've noticed over time with teaching Yang style, and it's especially the long form, but it gets in the 49 as well. And there is one in the 16, but in the 49 in the long form, there's a sequence. It's either called it works shuttles or shuttles. So there's, Fair Maiden or Jade Maiden or Fair Lady or Jade Lady works or plays shuttles. So it's the woman involved is either Fair or Jade, and she's either a lady or a maiden, and she's work or playing a shuttle. Shuttles meaning the the sort of machine used to help weave. So there's I don't know the exact mechanism. I've seen it done, but I've never actually done it. You have like the thread going vertical, and you can shoot the shuttle going underneath, and that helps. And you pull the thing, and that gets the next thread up or something like. I don't know exactly the thing, but it has to do with like weaving and making fabric and stuff. It is in the Yang style a it's the one. It's got like a couple parts, and it's played in a four corner sequence. It's usually the part of the especially the long form and the routine that gives people the most amount of trouble. I know I had some trouble with it in terms of the coordination of some things. It really is helpful to learn and coordinate, but also helps to learn and coordinate the idea of the hands and feet moving together. So those six sort of outward harmonies of hands, feet, elbows, knees, shoulders, hips. And most of the form at that point in time, had pretty much been played on that sort of east-west axis, with a couple things coming off of the north and south. This one we're going off in the four corners. So, northeast, southeast, southwest, northwest, those sort of ones. So it's actually coming off the thing. One of the things that's sometimes difficult for some people to still understand, and this comes up even in Xingyi as well, when we do like Pao Chuan or Hung Chuan, is when we're coming off on the angles, is that the body structure is no different. The body structure and the way the feet are and the width of the legs and the squareness of the hips and shoulder alignment and everything like that is exactly the same as if it's in that east-west or north-south direction that we've already done. Exactly the same. The only difference is now it's in sort of, if my feet are here with it, Xingyi would be like here, Tai Chi be like here. Instead of here on that axis, I'm basically just doing this. So that's one of the things I've noticed kind of trips people up with a little bit, that coordination and then the stepping with it as well. So we'll talk about. I have a few books here that I kind of just want to read from to help kind of illustrate some of that as well. So we're coming off of, if we're going here, so it's what is it? What's the I try to use numbers on the clock for it. We come up and it comes off of single whip. And everything comes in and we come off. So we start at single whip at 9, we go to 7, 1 and 4, or 1 and 5 sort of thing. So, it's almost sort of like more the 130, 430 sort of things. But it's mostly like, 10, 7, 1, 4 kind of thing for that, because we come in here, we come that way, down, the other way, da, da. So yeah, 10, 7, 1, 4, if you're kind of going off of the clock, if we use where we start off at 12. But again, it gives people kind of sort of thing. So I'm going to do my thing with an intro like this, reading some stuff about it. We're going to do the feet, and then we're going to do the hands, and then we're going to put everything together. There are other videos I've had that do some things that help with this. I'll try and look through and maybe put some stuff in the description. Hopefully I remember to do that. But I have other videos talking about Kobu and Pibu, even in the, and just the learning things as well as in the Xingyi playlists I've had. And we're also talking about, uh, and another thing with lifting the hand over the head and how we rotate the forearm as opposed to rotating and lifting the elbow. So I'll describe that, but there are other things out there that I have as well that describe some of that stuff too. So some really good books to go on. This is sort of the first Tai Chi, well, not the first Tai Chi because the first one I got was Wei Sun Lao's Tai Chi Classics. But this one got well used by myself, my teacher, and a couple other people too. Fu Zhongwen was a student of Yang Chen Fu, who sort of set the Yang style the way we know it now. Louis Swaim, the translator of this. As you can see, I've had this for a while. It's been pretty well used, and has actually been really, really helpful in sort of making, as we've been using the like Yang style and making it sort of back to be, more traditional and kind of what it was meant to be a little bit more. So this goes, the description of everything with it goes for, now, where are we? About 6 pages. So I can describe the whole thing with it. And I'll try and read that off quickly just so people kind of get the idea. But there's also important points with this as well that I think are also good. There's also videos on the Yang Family Tai Chi YouTube channel. One's, it just says Yang Family Tai Chi, actually has TAI, new word CHI. Fair Lady Works Shuttles. And then there's a Yang Family Tai Chi Practice, Fair Lady Works Shuttles. They're 14 minutes 36 and 13 minutes 24 respectively. They're both were put on May 8th of 2012, and it's Yong Jun, this sort of current head of things, first sort of teaching and then working a handful of students through things as well that could be helpful to look at as well. So, this would be a descriptions pretty much straight from Yang Chen Fu. So 3rd generation Yang family, practitioner, and the guy, sort of to make it be what it is now, or at least the look of what it kind of is. And then in the last generation or two, they're kind of morphing things a little bit, staying with some of like the health and relaxation aspects of it. But Yang Chen Fu was kind of a badass back in his day too. So when I first started this, I was like, oh, I'm just going to read this through, and then I'm like looking at it, like, I don't know if I just want to read this through without having the actually playing it with it. So I'll try and skim this a little bit for it, and then get to the important points. So this is actually called Jade Maiden Threads the Shuttle. So again, there's the different translations with it as well. So the toes of the left, so we're coming out of single whip. So toes of the left foot turn in and plant solidly. At the same time, the right hook hand changes to a palm and arcs from the right toward the front and down. The left palm also gradually moves downward. We'll go all over this with the hands and putting everything together. The center, so basically, if you're kind of playing along, then we can read this out with it too. The center of gravity shifts completely to the left leg. The body gradually turns right. The right foot lifts up. At the same time, the right palm, following the turning of the body, arcs from below and leftward, passing before the chest and toward the right, and wards off upwardly. So pung, I would directly say pung. So a couple of things to point. It's uh, the right foot and the right hand and the right palm move together, and they follow each other in the turning of the body. So that's an important thing to kind of pay attention to with that. The left palm continues to arc forward and downward. The vision attends to the right palm, warding off upwardly and to the right. So again, it's the eyes are moving with the arms too. Not the head, the eyes. So the head's not on some weird swivel. You're leading with the eyes. So we're on movement 3. The body continues to turn right. The right foot steps out to the right. West, slightly north, so northwest with that. With the heel touching the ground first, which we talk about in class. Following the center of gravity, gradually shifts entirely to the right leg, so the weight was not in the right leg when it moves, so you are not double weighted. Until the whole foot is planted solidly. The left foot lifts up toward the front, passing by the ankle. So again, we're getting that curved step out of the right foot. Following the turning of the body, the left palm passes in front of the abdomen and moves to the right in an arc, arriving under the right forearm. The right palm, also following the turning of the body, continues warding off to the right. Then sink the right elbow, naturally leading the movement of the right palm downward and back. The eyes briefly observe the right palm shifting back, then turn to look forward evenly. So again, the eyes, not the head. Movement 4, the left foot takes an oblique step out to the left front, so southwest, with the heel touching the ground first. At the same time, the left forearm passes under the right forearm and wards off upwardly toward the front. So again, we're talking about having Pingjing being super important to the whole thing. That's going to be a through line through everything. So I'm sure some of you who are in class with me are going to be just sick of hearing that. The right palm sinking the elbow, crosses or threads back over the left forearm. As it threads back, the arm rotates in, that's in bold, rotates, causing the palm to gradually turn to face forward and downward. The eyes look evenly to the front. The vision should include the left forearm warding off in the front. So the peripheral should have part of that in there. So you're not, looking off and this, everything. The peripheral should be having that in there. Master Who's sort of makes like Ghost. Movement 5, the center of gravity gradually shifts toward the left leg. The left foot is planted solidly. The body gradually turns left. Bend the left leg and push forward from the right heel, forming the left bow stance. At the same time, the left forearm moves upward, passing before the face. As it moves, the arm rotates, again in bold, causing the palm to turn and face forward and up. The left palm takes position in front of the forehead. The right palm concurrently pushes forward, so that both hands still moving together. Even though one's coming up and one's coming out, they both move together. The right palm concurrently pushes forward. The vision should include the right palm pushing forth. So one of the reasons I'm reading this too is because I know there are different learning styles. So we're going to see it and we talk through it. Maybe hearing it might help with things too. Right thread the needle, part 2. Movement 1. The toes of the left foot turn in, planting solidly. The body gradually turns right. At the same time, the right palm following the turning of the body, with the elbow bent and the arm horizontal, assuming an arc shape, moves before the chest. As it moves, the arm rotates out, causing the palm to gradually turn and face in. The left arm rotates out. The sinking of the left elbow naturally leads the movement of the left palm in shifting downward and also causes the palm to turn and face in. The vision attends to the left palm shifting back. Movement 2. The body continues to turn right. The center of the gravity gradually shifts entirely to the left leg. The right foot lifts back, following the turning movement of the body. So as the body sucks in, the foot comes in as well. At the same time, the right arm, following the turning of the body, wards off to the right. The left palm sinking the left elbow, passes over the right forearm, then collects down and shifts back. The vision first connects with the left palm, shifting down, then turns to look in front of the right arm. Movement 3 and 4 are the same as movements 4 and 5 of the preceding left thread the shuttle, only left and right are reversed. The direction for the preceding left thread the shuttle is southwest, whereas the direction of this right thread of the shuttle is southeast. So let me go back for just half a second here, and just kind of we'll do the picture book thing. So we're starting off at single whip. So we move through here to here. Get my fingers out the way. There and down here. So you see those. I don't know if you guys want to screenshot these or anything else if you don't want to get the book. I don't know how I honestly don't know how well to find the that's language. I don't know how easy it will be to find some of these. I've had these for a long time. Let me go down here. So just in case, up top, and we're moving on. So part 3, left thread the shuttle, movement 1. The center of gravity gradually shifts entirely to the right leg. The body turns slightly to the right. The left foot lifts up toward the front, passing by the side of the right foot's ankle. At the same time, following the turning of the body, the left palm with the arm bent at the elbow and horizontal in an arc shape moves in front of the chest. As it moves, the arm rotates out, causing the palm to gradually turn to face in. The right arm rotates out. The sinking of the elbow naturally guides the movement of the right palm in shifting downward. I'm having a hard time today. Shifting downward and causes the palm to gradually turn to face in. The eyes briefly watch the right palm shifting down, then turn to look in front of the left arm. Movement 2 and 3 are identical with the movements 4 and 5 of the previous left thread and shuttle. Only the direction of the previous sequence is southwest, whereas the direction of the left thread the shuttle is northeast. Part 4, right thread the shuttle. The movements are the same as the previous right thread the shuttle, only the direction of the previous one is southeast, whereas the direction of this right thread the shuttle is northwest. So we go from here. Where am I? Here we go. It's down here. And then Dong Chin Fu up here. So here's the important points. In all, there are 4 parts to Jade Maiden threads the shuttle. Their directions are to the 4 corners. The figures are traced based on the original photographs of Yang Chen-fu. So these are sort of, like the old Disney things. They had someone kind of live action out and then they would draw over it a little bit. When the original photographs were taken, they were shot in profile in order to obtain a clear line of vision. When practicing, however, the student should perform the postures to the corners. With each turn of the body in each step, you must not rise up. So that's an important part in Yang style, is keeping that head level as you play. So the knees are staying bent the whole time. The time under tension with the thighs and everything like that are going to be consistent. And that sung in with the quad and the hips and the pelvic region have to stay sunk. So there's not up and out and down and up and out and down. No, it's, we play in, head level. That's the major sort of thing with Yang style. Other ones and stuff don't have that as much. Yang style, one of the things is keep your head level. But that also, that you have to keep your knees bent, otherwise things are going to start locking out. And keeping the knees bent and that quad relaxed, that's going to help be able to get especially with the knees over the feet and keeping the alignments of the foot, knee, hip alignment in there. That's going to help be able to distinguish like the yin and yang legs, what's empty, what's full. It's going to be able to get the feet involved correctly with like Kolbu and Peeble. It's going to help be able to then also push from the heels and be able to issue the Jing, the power of Fa Jing, or any of the other ones, because you have that sort of coiled spring involved and then can come out with it. So a lot of the times, Yang style might not look like much in some things, but it should be able to still generate good power. So Yang style, that again, I'm sorry if it does, you might want to practice it for the health and the relaxation meditation. Great, but you have to have some of that martial principle in there as well, or it's not correct, and vice versa. If you want to learn it for fighting and the martial principle, you have to know all the other qigong and the meditative and health and relaxation stuff too, in order to make it correct. Part 3. Nope, I don't think no, I didn't finish part 2. With each turn of the body and each step, you must not rise up. The body should maintain vertical alignment. The movement, so they have the shoulders, hips, bai, hui, hui, and crown in the perineum, as well as like the foot and knee, and keeping the tailbone tucked in as well. The movement should be linked together, even with upper and lower following one another, coordinated and unified. Very important. So again, that's also talking about as we break it down with hand, foot, elbow, knee, shoulder, hips. When the palm turns forward and up in front of the forehead, you must prevent the leading or pulling yin shoulder from rising up and the elbow from lifting. The arm of the pushing hand must not extend straight. It must be slightly bent. So again, what we talked about, that shoulder, you don't want the shoulder to pop up. And when you're pushing, you don't want to extend your elbow straight like that. You want to have that, the elbow should be pointed down and there's a little bend in it, even with your pushing. When changing to the bow stance, and as the palm pushes forward, the toes, the forward knee, the body, the face, and the pushing palm should all be unified and facing to the corner. So that's the front toes should be facing that way. The back toes are technically going to be on, again, that north, south, east, west axis that we talked about before. So that, and then it goes into forward, ward off, like in the beginning of the thing. So that's Fu Zhongwen's book. Very good book, very important. I like it. There's Yang Chen Fu, The Essence and Applications of Tai Chi Chuan, translated by Louis Swaim. Same guy, same company. Past it. So this is slightly different. And it's talking a little bit more like some of the applications for this. So let's talk about a couple of things here. So they have Jade Maiden's thread the shuttle with this. From single whip posture, suppose the opponent from the right rear flank uses his right hand to hit downward from above. Then I let my body follow the left foot and rotating together toward the right. The right foot subsequently lifts up and collects back. Collecting, that's a good one for that. So I would say sometimes garnering instead of closing or anything. Collecting, I think, is good, because I mean, garnering, what the hell does that mean? Garnering is collecting. I like that. The right foot subsequently lifts up and collects back, then lowers down in front of the left foot. The right foot separates out, the toes pointing to the right, and the weight settles into the full right stance. The left hand collects in, closing in under the right armpit. Following, it protectively encircles the right upper arm and threads past the right elbow, then using Pingjing, the left arm turns toward the left front corner, engages the opponent's wrist, and wards it off upwardly. It's Pingjing. And yeah, if you're in my class, you're tired of hearing about Pingjing, I bet. The left leg concurrently advances, bends at the knee, and settles into the full left stance. The right foot extends straight, the right hand then changes into a palm, quickly threading forth beneath the left elbow, thrusting toward the opponent's rib cage and striking. There is no one who will not be dropped. Those palm strikes can be just, scary if you know how to do them right. In this form, the left and right hands thread reciprocally, suddenly hidden, suddenly appearing. Huyin, Huzian, unfathomable, Zuomo, Building. Again, I apologize for my pronunciation of Chinese and my probably slaughtering the intonations of them. Attacking by seizing upon his emptiness. So again, it's that yin and yang, like with push hands. So if someone is retreating, you advance. Where you find that hollow, that's where you put, your intent. Thus, it is called Jade Maiden threads the shuttles in order to evoke the artfulness of the form. Translator's comments. The last few envoy statements, beginning with "There is no one who will not be dropped," do not appear in an earlier book, Tai Chi Chuan Xiyong Fa, and were evidently added by Zheng Manjing, maybe Cheng Manjing. The, quote, "suddenly hidden and suddenly appearing," is, quote, from the Tai Chi Chuan Treatise. Section 61, Jade Maiden 2. Connecting with the previous form. Important, connecting with the previous form, not separate to. If an opponent comes from my right rear to strike with his right hand directly at my head, I then let my left foot turn inward somewhat. The right foot concurrently takes a step out to the right rear, with the leg bending at the knee, and becomes solid. The body accordingly pivots around Aozuan to the right rear. The left leg changes to empty. Swiftly use the right wrist to stick fast to the outer edge of the opponent's right arm and ward it off upwardly to the right. Following, bring the left hand to push on toward the opponent's rib cage. The remaining aspects are the same as the preceding form. The comment says the first Jade Maiden is toward the southwest, the second one is toward the southeast, so it involves a 270-degree clockwise turn. Part 3. Connecting with the previous form. If an opponent comes from my left flank to strike with his left hand, I then let the toes of my right foot move out, Fen Kai, slightly to the right, sitting solidly. The left foot lifts towards the left corner direction to step out, sitting solidly. The hand methods are the same as the first form. The comment is the third Jade Maiden proceeds with a 90 degrees counterclockwise turn to the northeast. Part 4. This form is the same as the preceding second form, except for the direction in which the Jade Maiden threads her shuttles. The formal postures Zongshi are to the four corners. There must be no mistake about this. Translator's comment. The final Jade Maiden is another 270-degree clockwise turn, ending to face the northwest. So those are the directions. We talked about the clock faces earlier. So these are the pictures. I think these might have been the ones that they talked about being copied. This is actually Yang Fu in there. Yeah, that late 19th, early 20th century was a banger time to be around in China with some of these guys. Yang Fu and Chen Tinghua, Sun Lutong, Chen Fake. All these guys are like, especially in internals, peekaboo. Badass time to be around then. Maybe not great in some other social times, but just being around those guys had to have been insane. There's actually pictures of some of those guys, like those pictures with Einstein with all the quantum guys and everything like that. Some of these guys just bombing around together. It just had to be insane. All right, last book here, almost done. This is going to be probably hard to find. It was hard to find 15 to 18 years ago or something like that. It was kind of out of print. It's a little bit older. I don't care if you judge me. I like the way old books smell. It was out of print when I tried to find it, and this was me working in Borders at the time. So not even the year I worked at Walden's. It was sometime during my the first half of my decade or more long Borders career. Really, really good book. Really, really kind of a lot of it's smallish, but there's a lot of really freaking cool Tai Chi stuff in there. It gets really kind of was this the picture? It gets real deep in a lot of stuff in with it. Oh yeah, so this is this is one of the pictures I'm talking about. I'm not going to point out everyone, but in this picture is Yang Chenfu, Yang Shuhao, Sun Lutong. So it's like we talk about Sun Lutong, Chen Weiming, Dong Yingchuan, Wu Qianchuan. So some of these guys are just major kind of badasses together. Um, oh God, Yang Chenfu and Sun Lutong are actually sitting right next to each other. So here's Yang Chenfu, and the dude right next to him is Sun Lutong. That's like, that's insane. With it. So, so it is Tai Chi Touchtones or Tai Chi Touchtones. It's T apostrophe AI hyphen CHI Touchtones. Yang Family Secret Transmissions, compiled and translated by Doug Weil, Wile. Again, you might have to start looking through used book places and out of print shops and stuff like that. Trying to stay away from Amazon, but some of those other places probably are going to be better places to have it. It's probably not going to be anything just some random other thing is going to have. So here's the picture and then some of the application picture from this. And it's a short little some of the stuff they go in with this are almost poems. They're verse. They're no, they're yes, verse, not prose. So we have, Fair Lady works shuttle seals the four corners. Use Fair Lady to remove the opponent's arm and elevate it. Left and right, the application is the same. So yeah, so we just talk about it like that real quick. What movie was this? I think I might have had this before this, but at least the movie I went to see was from 2005. So it's probably been in this book since at least then, if not before. So those are, some of the technical, theoretical aspects in with Fair Maiden, Jade Maiden works at Shuttles, plays Shuttles, whatever you want to call it with it. So there is, you're going to have a lot of the main 8 energies of Taiji in with that. So Peng Lu Juan Kai Lei Zhu Kao. So Peng, ward off, Lu, row back, Ji, press or squeeze, on, push. And it's like that. And I'm going to incorporate this a little bit more because I just read it the other day. I was re-looking through this book of Taiji China that I have from Dr. Yang Junming. And I've read it before and I've gone through it before. A couple of things popped out for me this time that didn't really pop out for me before, maybe because I had a certain bias, which is possible, which sure, because all the translations of a couple of things say this, and this one says something that's slightly different. But with on, there's tui and there's on. They're both sort of translated as push. Because you hear tui show for push hands. And I talked to Sifu John Irvin about this, and I asked him about this, and he was like, yeah, it kind of makes sense. Well, tui is more that sort of like short, so you'll see that in Chen style, where it's like kind of hearing that short, almost like xingyi sort of push from it. Again, not a like punk bar fight shove thing. That's a strike and it's a shove, and that's not the same. But on in this, what Dr. Wang Junming would say, it has that push down, put forward and up. So what I would usually call is, you put your hands on and you push long, almost like you're pushing a car. Oh yeah, I forgot tendonitis. Um, Almost like you're pushing a car. You don't do this when you're pushing a car. You have your hands on and you drive with the legs through. So it has that with it. But he even specifically says that downward, forward, and upward motion. Now, in the simplified, that Beijing 24 style, it's really apparent because you come all the way down like to the hip and come up. Yang style, you kind of come in, drop a little bit, and push. And we're talking about from like grass bird's tail. So, but it has that pushing for it. Kai usually is seen as pull down. Dr. Yang Junming actually has it as sort of like a pluck. Now you can pluck down or you can pluck up as well. Lei, still splitting. Zhu, meaning elbow. Kao usually means shoulder, but Dr. Yang was talking about it as meaning bump. And the way I had it described to me is, even though Kao means shoulder, you push on it and move, it also has like a whole body context. So, in like Cheng Bagua or you see it in like Swaja or anything, getting your, dropping down and using your like hips below theirs and moving them out so you can like come in and throw over would be considered colleging. And the way he talks about it is bump. So that's going to be in all of it, but you're going to have, you're going to have where that has like a ward off one way, but you can also lead back. You have where we have one going one way, one the other. We have splitting, but we all can also have Lu. We have splitting, there's ward off, and there's lay. Lay, that splitting is almost like can be splitting as an apart, but also as in like strike because you have the energy going out, but you're also sinking down at the same time to get that splitting and that striking with it. And we're going to have also what we have when we drop down and pull down. There's pull down, there's pressing in with that as well, and we're going to have lifting. So there's like the different types of colleging, and then raising and lifting in with that too, and then out. So we get into the arms bit and everything else. We'll talk about that too. One of the things I want to remind people out as well is that with Yang Chen Fu, I should do one on that, of sink the chest and raise the back. And I was just talking to somebody about this. Doesn't mean you kind of get this like babushka lady hunchback sort of thing. You don't want that. It's keeping the shoulders relaxed so you have that sort of curve around the chest. So even when we have the transition, when we come up, I'm not straight out this way. Like, come on, bro. My shoulders are still forward and my elbows are forward, creating that curve from anterior to anterior deltoid one arm, anterior deltoid the other. So the chest is, collapsed or sunk as opposed to sticking out. Raise the back doesn't mean lifting up the back with that. Raise the back as you pull your head up from the crown, um, pull the tailbone's tucked in and that lower part comes down so the bai hui and the hui yin are in line and kind of stretching out away from each other to open up the space. You have the vertebrae and the discs in between each vertebra, and you want to open that space up. So that's raising the back. So we don't want to kind of collapse and start putting pressure in on each vertebrae and disc and collapsing, and we will open that up. So we still have, our upright posture with it as we go. Now, sometimes it's a little bit hard with this because of the big, we're making those big turns, those 270-degree turns and everything like that. And there's a lot of temptation. I was guilty of this back in the day too, and I am vigilant about this now. I'm not gonna say I'm 100% perfect at it. I'm sure that if you film me every time I play Yang style, that there might be one or two times where it comes out. Um, I'm not an exalted being or anything like that, but by and large, it's more correct now than it used to be. But a lot of people will, as they're making those turns, they want to jut the hips back out like as a squat with that. We don't want to do that. And this is why it's going to be important, and we'll show it when we do the bit with the feet. This is why it's going to be important to um, make sure that the feet are in the right place as you turn, and you can make the adjustments to make the feet in the right place as you turn, and the body alignments with the knees and the hips are correct, because then you can make those turns and sit on the leg without having to shoot the tailbone out and blow your alignment out incorrectly. So again, all that we'll go over, but it's just kind of stuff to think about as we go in. If you already are playing work at the shuttles, things to kind of pay attention to and look at as we go. So I'm probably going to make this like a little mini playlist. So as we go forward, like and subscribe and share and all that good stuff. And I appreciate you guys, and we'll talk at you soon.